Hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It feels so nice to be back after a very long period of absence. It's middle grade March, and I am so excited to share with you 5 middle grade books that I have really loved, but most importantly, are less than 250 pages long. So these are short middle grade books. And for this list, for this video, I focused on books that work best for middle school students. So you might not be able to hand many or all of these to elementary school kids, but if you'd like me to do a video for books that would also be appropriate for upper elementary students, I can do that as well. But this list, I would say, is best for middle schoolers. So grades 6 through 8, I think they're gonna enjoy all of these books. So I'm gonna talk through them. I'm gonna share with you what each book is about, why I especially enjoyed it, what kind of kids I think are gonna like it, and what grades especially. So before we begin, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Afoma Omesi, and I run the website Reading Middle Grade, where I focus on championing kid lit, especially books for the middle grade ages, which is ages 8 to 12, especially focused on middle schoolers, but I have a lot of resources for upper elementary as well, and some for the young teens. I also have some content for young teens as well. So that is out of the way now, and I'm going to tell you about these 5 books. Sneak peek. The first one I'm going to tell you about today is called The Meaning of Maggie. This is about Maggie Mayfield. She's 11 years old. She's very excited to be starting middle school. Maggie plans to become the first female president of the United States of America. Maggie lives in the 1980s. This book is set in the 1980s. She has 2 sisters, and she has a mom who has recently stopped staying at home with the kids and has gone back to work because her father has multiple sclerosis that has been progressing. And this means he can't work anymore, and he has to stay home with the kids so that her mother can work. And all of these changes are really tough for Maggie. Maggie doesn't really know what her dad has yet, and she's not really aware of the whole journey of having multiple sclerosis, what that means, what's going to happen to her dad in the future. And her parents and the entire family have been trying to shield her from the knowledge of this disease. So throughout this year in Maggie's life, she's going to figure out social interactions at school. She's going to have a first crush. She's going to figure out that her dad has this disease. And she's going to figure out with her family as well how to come to terms with this. We meet some of her parents' quirky friends. We laugh a lot about the way Maggie sees life, her funny thoughts about her sisters, and their quibbles and their quabbles and squabbles in their relationship as sisters. So I loved this book because it is very funny. Despite tackling a very difficult problem, difficult situation, a turbulent period in the life of this family, this book is so profoundly funny. And Maggie has so many insightful observations. And then there's so many things about being an adult that she's so ignorant of in a way that is hilarious. And I love the relationship between Maggie and her dad. I also loved the relationship between Maggie and her sisters. And this book is going to appeal to readers who like sad but funny books. So if you liked Simon Sort of Says, that kind of humor, or you really enjoyed the remarkable journey of Coyote Sunrise, then you are going to love Maggie's story. It's actually a backlist title that I fell in love with this year, and I especially adored it on audio. The narrator was phenomenal. It was like a class act, like serious voice acting, and it just really took this book. It elevated my experience of this book, and I feel like if you can listen to the audiobook of this one, do not miss it. So that is The Meaning of Maggie. I would recommend this one to kids ages 12 and up. Some 11-year-olds could handle it, but there's some mature humor, nothing inappropriate for kids, but maybe stuff that I wish I could remember a good example. But yeah, Maggie's dad used to be a kind of like rough, edgy guy when he was growing up. So he made a few oopsies in his past, and they talk about it a little bit, but it's nothing. It's nothing scandalous. It's just 11, yes, and then 12. Yeah, I would say okay. I would say 11 and up. Yes, I would recommend this to kids who are ages 11 and up. Maybe some 10-year-olds could handle it, but definitely ages 11 for sure. And I just love this cover. I feel like it doesn't have any cartoons on it. It just feels like something I could read and people wouldn't even know it was middle grade. Is that just me? I love it. And look how slim it is. So this is very short. It is exactly 218 pages. You can see that, which I think is awesome. Very, very short. My next book is Bubble Trouble by Wendy Wanlong Shang. I loved this author's book, The Great Wall of Lucy Wu, and she also co-wrote Not Your All-American Girl, both of which are fantastic. This book is so much more funny, light, so much lighter, and romantic, slightly romantic, because the book kind of chronicles an enemies to friends to then romantic interests. But most of the book is just two kids kind of hating each other for a little while and then mostly being friends before toward the end they start an actual romantic relationship. So it's about Chloe, who gets kicked out of this boba cafe after an altercation with one of the customers. And then she decides to start her own boba making business. And it's about her adventures as making boba, but also her process of going from being anxious and wanting to control everything after her mom's death. Her mom died from COVID, so that if you are triggered by that, that might be difficult for you, but it's not really addressed, or like it's not a major theme in the book. We see more of her dad, who is a single parent, and he's a product designer, so he makes lots of wacky gadgets. But it's really about Chloe and her trying to raise money to go to, I think, New York for some Broadway play. And then she starts this boba business, and then she discovers that she maybe likes this guy who she thought she didn't like. And then there's also another love story between adults happening in her life, which just make for a really lighthearted book. So this is more like Hallmark Channel vibes, sweet, romantic, really fun. It's like if you want to relax and you want something really lighthearted and feel good, this is a good one. And it's mature enough that I think 6th, 7th, and some 8th graders will love it. So, yes. The next book on my list is Hoops. This one came out last year. It was on my summer reading guide last year. I have a whole video about my summer reading guide with a link to the guide, so you can download it if you're interested. But this book is about a girl who starts to play basketball in her school after the Title IX ruling, which allows women to play sports, competitive sports. So she starts playing basketball, and her team faces a lot of challenges because they're a female team. They don't even have enough funding to buy their sports jerseys and stuff like that. And so they really have to prove themselves, even though their male counterparts have way more support. It's just really thrilling, and it's all about equality in sports. And I love that historical element of it. And I think readers who like sports and who like a little bit of history and who like graphic novels, this is an ARC, so that's why it's black and white. But if you know readers who love graphic novels, I think they're gonna really enjoy this one. So this is highly recommended, and I think kids as young as 9 or 10 will really enjoy this. Of course, older kids will too. They like the same topics that we just mentioned. The next one on my list is by Gordon Corman. It's called The Fort. This was one of my favorite books of, I think 2022 it was. It's about 4 boys, actually 5. So 4 boys who are friends, and then the new addition to their group who they kind of are only reluctantly hanging out with because he's kind of not their kind of guy, but they're friends with him anyway. And we see it's written from all 5 perspectives. So this is one of them, Ricky. And then each chapter is written from like a different boy's perspective. So the fourth follows these boys and the challenges that they face. One of them is being physically abused by a step parent. Another one is he's just gotten his first girlfriend. So he's trying to figure out how to have a healthy relationship while also maintaining his relationship with the guy. So these are like 13, 14-year-old boys. So these are some of the things that the boys are dealing with. But everything gets better when they discover an underground shelter, kind of like a bomb shelter that was built in the, I think, Vietnam War days. So they kind of make this their hideout. They don't tell any of the adults in their life, and they make this their hideout and they're hanging out there. It becomes a real place of solace for the boys, especially the one who's getting physically abused by his stepfather. So they're staying there until finally a bully finds out their hiding place and everything really goes downhill from there. So this is a really, really engaging book, very, very intense. And I think that readers who like stories about boys, stories full of action, tension, stories that talk about some of the struggles that boys may be going through, or all kids really might be going through, will love this book. And of course, Gordon Corman is like a prolific, incredible writer, and I like everything that he does, but especially this one. If you haven't yet read this one, I highly recommend it. Give it a go. My final book is The Love Report. So I read the first book in this series. This is the second one in the series, the second volume. This one is less than 200 pages long, and it is so beautifully illustrated. It's just gorgeous. The art in this is just phenomenal, and I love it. I loved the first book in the series, which really tackled some kind of murky issues about like slut shaming and misogyny and sexual harassment, but in a really fun way. It's all about Grace and Lola trying to figure out what love is, what does it really mean, how do people who love each other treat each other. And they observe people in their school and they see the social dynamics going on between other girls and some guys in their lives as well. And they're able to like come to a kind of conclusion about what love is and how girls should be, and so many other issues that I think are gonna thrill teenagers. So this is really great for grade 7, grade 8, and even maybe 9th grade if you're open to manga and comics like this. So in this next installment, they kind of pick up where the first one left off, and it's really exciting because the girls also get to go on a vacation, which makes for really stunning spreads. I love the pictures in this book. Yes. So these are the 5 books that I'm recommending in this video. You can see their spines here, and they are fantastic. I love them. So if you like middle grade books, if you like short middle grade books, definitely check out these ones, but also check out my blog post. I have a list of over 20 other short middle grade books, including suggestions for upper elementary kids and middle schoolers from grade 6 to 8 and younger as well. So check out that list. I'm going to leave the link to that list in the description box below. And I would love to hear what you think about these books, if you've read any of them, and if you have any other short ones that you love. I know that novels in verse can be really long, but sometimes there's some short ones too. Yeah, we'll talk about that at a different time. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out my blog, readingmiddlegrade.com. I also have a Patreon community where I offer more resources for teachers, for librarians, for parents, and people who want to read more middle grade books, but don't know where to start and really can't get through the noise of new releases. I really break it down and I read all the books so that I can suggest great choices for you. So check out my Patreon community for that, and also my blog, and on Instagram, I am What Afoma Reads. So feel free to follow and let's stay connected. All right, till next time, bye.